So we're here today with Steph and Steph, and we're going to do the forecast of what this month and recent future has in store for us. And then also, since it's Valentine's Day, we're going to do a special on relationship charts, and I've had some requests for Beyonce and Jay-Z. So I don't know if you ladies know much about them. They're like history. Okay. I didn't know much, so I had to look into it a little bit, but I figured it would be good then to just look at their chart with fresh eyes instead of like kind of knowing what I know.
Right.
So, great.
Yeah,
So
I don't know if I know the history that you're speaking of. The scandalous history?
yes. Yes. Which, you know, a lot of people go through anyways, being in a relationship. Theirs just happens to be, like, in the public eye.
Exactly.
So, you know, because I think a lot of people gave him grief for the things he did, and they made up, and how dare you. But, you know, every relationship has, like, their own course. So we could just kind of dissect it with the chart, so we're lucky in that aspect of seeing them for who they really are.
She got a really good album, kind of inspired by that era.
Totally. Yeah, and I feel like that's true. I mean, that's how you make music, is like from your soul. So what better, you know, subject than having this happen? So so why don't we start with the forecast for February 2018.
Great. It's really exciting, actually, because we're having a solar eclipse the day after Valentine's Day. So it's on the 15th. It's an Aquarius solar eclipse. I find that interesting right around Valentine's Day because Aquarius is a sign of rebellion and independence. And for people who might not know about eclipses, the new moon is always a powerful time. You did that on your moon episode last time for new beginnings. But a couple times a year, it's combined with the solar eclipse. So this means you can set intentions for the coming 6 months or even 19 years. That's the bigger cycle of eclipses. So it's kind of huge. And Aquarius, again, it is a little bit edgy, a little bit rebellious, but it also is about friendship and community and kind of finding your people. So if you feel like you've been kind of an outsider, this eclipse can help you to seek situations where you feel like you fit and let your talent shine. It's a creative energy. So it's a pretty big deal. It's also humanitarian efforts. So worldwide, I feel like there's going to be maybe more protests because people are sick of the status quo. And it's already started, but February 15th could be a revisitation of that. So that's kind of the biggest headline of February, but I wanted to mention that the planet Venus is also in Aquarius until the 10th. And then she will move into Pisces.
That's awesome.
So that's pretty cool too, because we'll get that Aquarian flavor at the beginning, but then both Venus and Mercury will be in Pisces during the second half of the month. So that's going to create some healing, some calming, you know, so the month really comes in sort of strong and rebel-rousing. And then there's time to kind of process and heal that. It slows down a little bit as the month goes on.
Cool.
Yeah.
Wonderful. So was anyone there thinking like non-conventional Valentine's Day? Non-convention?
That's true. Yeah, I mean, since Aquarius is like, do something original, you know, it's not just like the typical go to a movie and have spaghetti dinner, you know, it's maybe go check out a monster truck rally or something just like really unique that's like, wow, bring it in. So.
Or you mentioned tattoos earlier. Maybe couples will go get a tattoo together.
Yeah, I know. I was like, Venus and Aquarius, that would be like a time I would want to get a tattoo because it's making yourself original, and it's a form of art that is something that's unique to everybody. So it seems like a good time. Not retrograde or anything. That would be...
Yes. Oh, I should mention February is retrograde free.
Yay!
For inner planets, and where that's what we're concerned with. This is one of the few months of the year where we're not going to be in some kind of retrograde, so go for it, especially at the new moon eclipse.
Totally.
Like, just get something started, because then the rest of the year you can work on it.
Yes. So retrogrades are nice because they're not necessarily like, okay, if you start anything in retrograde, it's hard because it's hard to go back to a retrograde. But if you're starting something now and there's a retrograde in the future, that's times to revisit the things that you started. And so new moons are about planting a seed. So if you want to start anything, like anything art is beautiful, because the Venus in Aquarius would be... Anything that sets you apart from anyone, I feel like, would be like a good thing to start.
Absolutely.
Anything that's inventive. Oh, sorry, Marty.
No, go for it.
No, I was just thinking of that inventive aspect to Aquarius. It's like so forward thinking that that energy is calling in new ideas and new, I guess, just forward thinking, progressive thinking into this paradigm and it hasn't existed. So it's kind of fun to combine that with the love nature. I don't know. It's a offbeat way of looking at it.
Yeah, that's
Literally.
true. Yeah, totally. And like, also I was thinking about what you were saying with doing, like having rallies or like just like the government system too, of like shaking the system of that too, and like what does the system look like. And I'm obsessed with Jupiter and Scorpio right now. I just have been like loving hearing everything that's happening with Jupiter and Scorpio, and like all my friends have been having a lot of discussions because it's triggering everything in a lot of people. And so I was like, what if that just goes to the government system of just like burning things down and like starting something new?
Yeah.
Because since Jupiter's in Sagittarius next too, that's about like finding the freedom of like a new, free feeling of not feeling confined in a certain system that we have been doing for so long.
For sure. I also feel like Scorpio and Sagittarius are the truth, and so it's the truth coming out and being magnified, so we can't miss it. I mean, the stuff that shows up now, all these sex scandals, like, you can't just ignore that. It's on a large scale in our face.
Yeah, there's an opportunity for healing that. And there's also an opportunity to move towards what we desire. Like, there's a lot here that's literally like a love revolution. So it's like, okay, if we say we would like to have, make our decisions based on love, that astrology is really supporting that. It's like a revolutionary act to just say, no, our intention is to solve this problem with love.
Totally. Yeah, my brother had like, not to get super political, but because Trump is kind of like hateful, and so not just throw it out there, but I had family that supports him, and like my brother is like, well, what if everyone unites on like disliking the same person? And I'm like, oh, that would be interesting to find love, because you find love in like commonalities with people too, which would be interesting to be like, hey, we all agree on we want to change because this is not working. And yeah, I don't know. I was just thinking about that. I'm like, oh, what if like love is just like uniting? Like, what can we all unite on? And all uniting on love is, a really cool thing to...
Compassion for people who are in a situation that's, not as fortunate as yourself. I think some of the stuff you're talking about has to do with astrology that's going to surface later this year. Jupiter and Neptune making a trine, which is kind of a happy, favorable angle, and that's all about healing and love to me, and that's going to be April through October. We can talk about that more in April maybe. But
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Awesome.
yeah.
Well, I think that Aquarius is also asking the question, how do you get out of this paradigm? It's like if you're putting your efforts towards being anti something, then you're still in the same paradigm. But if you put your efforts towards being for something, then you can move out of your current situation. So I think Aquarius is asking that question. It's like, how do you actually facilitate a change that's lasting, not as much, flip-flopping?
Yeah, or like maybe we're uniting and being original. Like, let's say we were all at a rally and we were like, I'm pro burrito, you're pro taco, you're pro nachos. And like, what if we just came in saying, I'm pro this, and I'm pro that, and I'm pro this, and we're like, wow, cool, you like burritos, I like tacos. Like, instead of coming in being like, anti-enchilada, because I mean, yes, we can all like unite on that. We're like, yeah, anti-enchilada, I like this, but like, what if we all like celebrate the things that we love and are compassionate about instead of like being negative on someone else for not liking what you like? You know what I mean?
That does make sense, yeah.
I was going to say, if you're anti-enchilada, you're just going to get nothing but the whole enchilada.
That's true. Yeah.
Very important.
Yeah, totally. Plus, then you're like focused on enchilada, and it's like, who cares about enchilada? Like, go like make your recipe for your taco or your burrito like perfect, and focus on your own stuff.
If you don't like enchiladas, you don't have to eat them. You don't even have to think about them.
Yes. Yes. You don't have to throw them out the window. We can all agree we're gonna have a stomach ache in the end. So.
I did want to mention one other thing about February, that the 16th, which is the day after this new moon solar eclipse, is the Chinese New Year. And I thought that is a nice tie-in. I'm not a Chinese astrologer. I don't know if you have studied it, but I do think that's significant. We could be celebrating that as our New Year because it's way more supportive of new beginnings than January 1st was. So.
That's true. I didn't even think about that. What's the year going to be? I didn't even...
Ooh, see, I should have done my homework before this recording. Maybe we can look that up and put it in the notes.
Yeah, let's do that.
Yeah.
Were you going to say something?
I just was going to say that it's new beginnings, but then it's also closing the chapter on, it's also endings and new beginnings, right?
Yes.
Good point.
That's true. And, last eclipse, I was noticing a lot of people making a lot of revelations. Like, they were like, oh, the moment I saw the eclipse, I decided to break up with my boyfriend.
Wow.
Or, like, the moment I saw the eclipse, I decided I'm moving there. So it'll be interesting to have this next eclipse so close, and, like, we'll close feeling. I mean, we were in Portland, so we kind of got, like, totality.
That was pretty cool.
But it'll be kind of like, if it didn't hit you the first time, like, it's going to, like, really hit you the second time. So it'll be interesting to see what people have, like, revelations about.
I totally agree. And January 31st, the very last day of January, is the lunar eclipse in Leo. So that's going to stir the pot. And then people probably will make some decisions of how to move forward with what they realized.
So that was 2 weeks ago.
No, it's about to happen. Oh, 2 weeks ago from, yes.
The recording.
Exactly. Oh, whoa, we're time traveling, yes.
Yeah,
So that,
and I was like, January 31st, which is, yes.
Because you brought up a great point. The solar eclipse in August was Leo. Now this lunar one is Leo. the solar is now going to be Aquarius, which is opposite of Leo. Like, this is about matters of the heart just as much as it is rebellion and that kind of thing, I think.
This will be so interesting. I'm excited to see as a whole what's going to happen. So, do you have anything else to say, Steph?
Well, it's different because it's in retrospect by the time this comes out, but there may be some issues that you felt really heated about during the eclipse that actually aren't supposed to be lasting. You know, there is such a thing as eclipse drama, and during this whole eclipse season, our sensitivity is heightened. So it's like the general advice is, you know, don't necessarily make a move. Just if it's still bothering you a few weeks from now, then address it, but you don't necessarily have to react or respond to every single thing that's happening. Especially with, I feel like there's a double dose of drama because of the Leo. It's already kind of the dramatic part of the zodiac.
Totally.
But I'm not sure what good this does in retrospect, so.
That's true, you know.
Well, this will come out on February 1st, which is the day after the lunar
Valentine's,
eclipse.
actually.
Oh, it comes out on Valentine's.
Yeah, we're making a special.
Okay. All right. Well then, yeah, we'll just psychically send people messages for the first.
Yeah. If you're really holding on to something that made you angry during that time, like it might be worth a review. It might not be something that is as much of a deal breaker as it felt like at the time.
That's
might
true.
be up for review.
That is true, but sometimes, you know, what's cool about the fire energy is it does put you into action right away, because I think sometimes people sit and stew on something for so long and they continue the same pattern, whereas like if you get a little fire under your butt, you're like, you know what, I do want to break up with them. Like, it just doesn't seem logical to be with them, and now I have this fire to, like, initiate it and just do it and be dramatic. So
you're talking about leveraging the drama for motivation.
You're wrong with drama. Don't get me wrong.
yes, I mean,
Leo's the rock star. Oh yeah, we couldn't live without rock stars, right? I mean,
that is true.
literally, some of that.
Yeah, unless they're like enchiladas, then forget them. So do you guys want to discuss Beyonce and Jay-Z?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Let's do it. Yes?
Can I say something again about Aquarius? I'm sorry.
Yes. Yes, please.
That energy can sometimes make you feel like you don't belong here, because it's not really an energy from here. Like, it's so kind of outer limits energy. So it's like a lot of people can feel like they are not belonging to a group. And I just want to say thanks for being here. We need you. You don't belong, and that's why we need you. So just throwing that out there for the weirdos.
Oh, yay.
You know, I always had, like, issues with Aquarius energy, like, when I would meet an Aquarian, because they would always shake the system so much. You know, like, when you're in a room and you guys are having a discussion, and, like, it's just, like, easier to just agree with someone so that it's not so jarring. But I feel like the Aquarius in the room always has to say, like, the devil's advocate. And they're like, oh, well, what if, you know, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, you don't even support that. Like,
they're just
why are you just doing
there.
that? But it's like, it's nice. It's refreshing, because we do need someone that questions everything. Because otherwise we would just be like sheep going through the field. Like, you need that Aquarius that's like, like, I feel like this is not the way that we should be going, when it's like, well, your 2 feet are walking that way. So, like, but they're like, no, take a step back, you know? So I've learned to really appreciate the Aquarius energy instead of being like, what? Like,
it gets
why?
you thinking, yeah. As long as they can have a sense of humor about themselves and know that, yes, they are, what is it, Emily, our mentor, Emily Trinkus, says rebel without a cause.
Yes.
About Aquarius.
A rebel
Without a clue.
But without a clue is that.
Yeah.
That really gets me.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, you in what army?
Yeah.
Go figure out your army before you want to start a fight, okay? Like, read some books, do some research, like, don't try to have an argument with me if you have, like, no backing.
It's just for the sake of stirring it up.
Yeah, which is good, because it gets me heated, that's for sure. I'm like, So, anything else you want to add before we move on? Last chance. I know you want to.
Nope.
Nope?
I weighed in for, the weirdness, so I feel good.
Good. Well, the weirdos watching this and listening to this, like, there is a place for everyone, because we're all weird, too.
And this eclipse is for you, weirdos.
Yay!
Yay! Okay, well, so I'll just put our charts here, or actually we could show it, which would be kind of cool.
Whose is that one?
That one is
Jay-Z.
Jay-Z.
A Sagittarius.
Yes.
With a Libra moon.
And then we have lovely Beyonce.
Hottie. A Virgo.
I know.
With a sexy Scorpio moon.
And, like, the first thing that we notice is she has her Venus in Libra right on her ascendant, which is right here.
Yeah, and ascendant is, like, what you show to the world, so it's people with Venus right there are always very hot.
Yes, and its rulership planet, too, so it's, like, Venus in Libra, she's killing it, so she's so likable.
Yeah.
Too, I think you just are like that energy that everyone's like, you're so beautiful, you're so harmonious, you're so lovely, and then once you drink the Kool-Aid, you're like, oh my God, I love you,
Yeah, you don't even have to know her personally.
Yeah, she's like the goddess, really, so I think that's amazing. So I guess what we should talk about first is comparing sun signs to, like, give the basics of, like, okay, if two people are dating, Jay-Z is a Sagittarius, Beyonce is a Virgo, and so typically, whenever those two combine, I'm a little weary, because Sagittarius is a very free spirit, and I always feel like they go into relationships wanting to be as friend as possible. Like, oh, you could be my best friend, but it's like they can never get to that, like, intimate point of being like, we are, like, soulmates, you know what I mean? Like, they're kind of like, what's on the other side of the fence, Whereas Virgo, on the other hand, is, like, really, like, needs that, like, companionship, because they're just so giving of themselves, and, like, they would do anything for you, and they also wear rose-colored glasses, I feel like, when they're in a relationship, because since they love them so much, they're so loyal that they don't see the, like, false sides of someone, because they look at themselves. They're like, oh, if a relationship's not working, it must be me that needs to change, and I need to fix it, and I need to do things that, like, make it better, because it's not them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You don't feel like the Sag has the same amount of self-awareness? Like they're just off exploring the next thing or something? Is that what you mean?
Kind of, yeah. I feel like Sages just have a hard time to pin down, Like, they don't want to commit to things.
Well, they do love adventure, so it's going to have to be exciting if it's going to be long-term. Like, maybe a Sagittarius partner has to redo their look a lot, which Beyonce does.
Yes.
So that's in her favor.
And it's probably advantageous for her to be with him, since she is kind of like, how do I reinvent myself? Like, not only is the public eye looking at me, but this man that I really want to adore me, because Venus and Libra too, but he doesn't seem to just keep looking at me. So how do I, like, make him smile and have fun and be exciting?
He might want a challenge. Like, maybe she shouldn't be too accommodating. but Virgo is like, oh, how can I do something nice for you? But if she was more, maybe she's learned to play hard to get to make him have a challenge.
That's so true. Yeah, and I kind of see that in her too. I think everyone sees that in her, because Virgo is just like, you know, we're like, oh, Beyonce, we love you so much, you know, and like, then you kind of are like, Jay-Z, like, why would you do that? Like, why would you treat her that way? She is just so sweet and kind, you know, but like, it's, you know, it seems to be very good for also having those albums are advantageous.
Yeah, and I think this is also a case where the expanded version, when you look at the entire chart for each one of them, starts to give you some clues about how they actually do have some pieces in common. It's just not so much the sun. Like if it were purely the sun sign, I think we'd be talking about something different. What do you think?
Absolutely.
Yeah, totally. And that's every person that asks, like, hey, Marty, so I'm going to date a Virgo. What do you think of that? It's like, well, there's so much more than just the sun sign. So I guess starting with that of being like, you know, typically I'm not like, yes, perfect match. It's about digging further. So I think maybe going to the moon next to see what they have.
Great idea.
There.
Yeah, there's
Beyonce's moon is Scorpio.
Yes.
And then his moon is
Libra. That's the commonality, his moon and her sun. Right?
Yes, and it gets even better with their risings too. And their rising is, he's a Virgo rising and she is a Libra rising. So what's interesting is his moon, being Libra, is drawn to her appearance. He feels nurtured by her demeanor. And then also her moon in Scorpio, she has this like possessiveness and this like sexuality and this like being taboo. I think that's what makes her really quirky. Because Virgos can be quirky. I think that kind of sets it off, you know. That's what keeps them interested. And then also, since he's a Virgo rising, and she is a Virgo, they have that commonality too.
Sure, like a common understanding. That makes sense to me. And that his, you know, moon is the way he makes someone feel safe. And that's in her sun sign, so she probably feels secure around him.
Totally. Yeah, I was actually reading into them a little bit, and people have these, not conspiracy theories, but theories that she makes a good match with her dad, because they work really well as a team. And so they're like, does she have like kind of daddy issues in a way, or like wants that kind of like older man feel of someone who makes her feel comfortable in that way too. So I'm like, that's interesting. Like, I didn't think about that.
Yeah, then maybe immediately try to see if there's Capricorn going on in there.
Yeah, or Saturn. I was like, I wonder where their Saturn is. So her Saturn is in Libra, and his Saturn is in
Taurus. So that's another,
Venus ruled.
Earthy.
Yeah.
You gotta weigh on this, Wilder. This is
give us your take on this.
I'm just looking at his Venus is in Scorpio, and then her moon is in Scorpio. So that seems like a really terrific match. Venus, for him, being what he would be attracted to in feminine. Something.
I was gonna see if I could pick up on your audio a little better. Yeah, no, Scorpio matching that way is really great because then they can kind of possess each other in a way too.
Yeah, and if she's identifying as feminine, I mean, they're a hetero couple, so it's like she may be more her moon than she actually is her sun, as far as how she's expressing. Because of her, you know, that's your emotional nature. And a lot of times men are Aquarius masculine are kind of not really denying that part, but they're okay with having their partner living that out for them, embodying that for them, and not as attached to it in their own chart.
Yeah, that's really interesting.
That's true. That makes a lot of sense. And yeah, as far as like sexual synastry, someone's Venus on another person's moon. It sounds just sexy even saying that. Someone's Venus. That's hot chemistry. And let's check out their Mars, because Jay-Z has Mars moon very close. I can't tell if it's an actual conjunction in this chart, but what's that one then? Oh, that's not his Mars.
Mars in Aquarius.
Oh, he's Mars in Aquarius.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so scratch that. Sorry. I was reading a different symbol.
And then her Mars is in Aries.
Okay. Very interesting.
Leo.
Right. Sorry. Yeah, correct.
Very interesting.
So, yeah, she's got that, like, being in the center stage drive, and he has that, like, I want to be different drive.
And, yeah, Leo and Aquarius oppose each other in the zodiac, so depending on the degree, like, having two Mars opposite each other is a lot of sexual tension that can be, I think, really hot, and also probably makes them want to strangle each other sometimes.
Yeah, totally. And like trying to find how they can see eye to eye to certain things, like if their primitive way of reacting to a situation is on the opposite spectrum, it can be very problematic, But that keeps things really heated.
Yeah.
And that's like where relationships go, sour or boring, is if you have too much commonality, and if you have that passion of seeing the other person's point of view, it keeps like that respect too, of like standing firm on like, well, this is how I see things and this is who I am. So.
Yeah. And then his moon being in Libra, and she has this completely Libran chart. It's like this Libra flavored chart because, as you mentioned, her chart ruler, Venus, is in Libra, but then she has a planetary lineup. I'm not sure that you've discussed this on your podcast, but it's she has this stellium. It's almost a stellium, but she's got this lineup of planets that are all in Libra, right there by one another. And so she's, incredibly Libran, so that has to be another way that she's kind of embodying something that makes him feel safe and make him feel sustained. Just throwing that out there.
That's totally
true.
True.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I know. I was thinking about that too. Like, and it's interesting because they're all in like her 12th house too. So it's like she's like I don't know, I always feel like 12th house is like you become like a master at what you've done, and you're kind of like looking into how to reinvent yourself, or how to reinvent it, or like gathering things up to like blow it out again. Like, okay, this is like introspective time of taking all these things in my head, and like, how do I, and Libra's about making it more beautiful. I've actually seen footage of her watching her shows. She's always watching them and then reassessing how to make it better the next time. And that's really how she's mastered her beauty of like giving back to the world and like being who she is like she's constantly looking at herself and evolving herself into the next form. So she's killing it.
Yeah, and that's very Virgo too. I think that like quest for perfection. So it's like having that Libra blend of being able to maybe not get as bogged down in that quest, and actually kind of looking at it intellectually versus like, I think a Virgo would normally have kind of a hard time watching themselves later. Like the critic would be too active. But she's got all this Libra energy that just kind of makes it a little more available for the analytical part of her, potentially. We don't know, but we could ask her sometime if she hears this podcast.
No, that makes sense. I had something to add about Venus in the 12th house, and something I saw with their charts, because I was born with Venus in my 12th, even though it's not Libra. But I think that, to me, it means needing to have a spiritual connection with your partner. And so then when I looked over at Jay-Z's Venus, in his chart, it's right next to the planet Neptune, which is the planet of spirituality. Mm-hmm. So that kind of tipped me off that this could be big for them. I don't know if they're both into some kind of meditation or other kind of spiritual practices, but I would suspect they almost have like a psychic connection.
That's so true. Like, maybe they've had many lives together, mm-hmm. and like are like, we're going to be in the public eye this time and see like how we can take it to the next level. Because they both have mastered what they're good at, you know, like, and having them as a couple is really a power couple.
Right.
Because they're just so, like, so with it, man. Mm-hmm. I'm like, you guys are just killing it. I'm glad they worked through all of that stuff, too. Mm-hmm. Because, like, I mean, not to use your chart as, like, well, that's just the way it is, but kind of, it says the way that they are. And, like, he is a wanderer, the Sagittarius, you know, and, you know, and being poly also is very common nowadays. I also think that Jupiter and Scorpio has made that aware, or, like, available to do without being a dark side of you, mm-hmm. instead of just, like, having a, you know, we have an understanding that we have wandering eyes and not being possessive of each other and, like, letting each other explore other people. So, mm-hmm. I mean, they're kind of like rock stars, and that's kind of what rock stars do. But what do you think, Steph?
Yeah, and that's... Oh, sorry.
No, I was looking at you thinking, so I'm like, hey, let's hear what you have to say about that.
Just, you know, the combination of just the sun, it's like his Sag, that Sag is visionary, you know, and then she will work to get it done. Like that Virgo will work mm-hmm. to get it done. So in that regard, it's kind of a cool combination, because it's like the Sagittarius is looking at it from a certain perspective, and then as far as, you know, making it happen, the Virgo will make it happen.
That's true. I mean, their family life, you know, she's like Virgo baby bearing, you know, like when she was pregnant, it was just like, whoa, like, talk about beautiful. He's like, I don't want to sound gross, but, like, you know, got the seed, and the Sagittarius, like, psh, got the fire in there, and she's like, I am going to harness that energy and make it something. Like, nothing
like this analogy.
Goddessy than that, you know? That's, like, what women do. So that's beautiful, too, that they have made children together. Like, that's a great creation of putting two minds together and that energy of making it happen.
And this is a different part of the chart, but it wasn't lost on me that she has Cancer in her midheaven, which is the most public part of the chart. And when I saw that, I'm like, oh, that makes so much sense, because when she gets pregnant, like, the world gets excited. Like, we love that aspect of her.
Yes.
I mean, it would be that way for a celebrity, but with her, I feel like it's especially that way. Like, the whole world is celebrating.
Yeah, she's like the mother in everyone's eyes. It's interesting, too, because there's all these conspiracy theories of her not actually being pregnant.
What?
Yes.
I have not heard that.
I know, yeah. Like, people think that she, like, faked being pregnant.
A Virgo would not fake anything.
I know. I mean, a Virgo kind of wants to do everything perfect. Like, don't get me wrong. And so maybe... I don't know.
I don't think Scorpio moon would fake anything either.
That's true. I mean, they're not about being surfacey about anything. They're very deep. So, I know, I just think that's pretty comical. Like, maybe that has something to do with the Cancer on the midheaven of being like, oh, you think that you're like the mom of all moms. Like, hey, you're too perfect. You're doing it too perfect. It must be fake.
Yeah, or like that's just a testament to how much the public is even discussing it.
That's true. Like having to be like, enchilada, I can see it, you know?
Yeah, and then his midheaven is a Gemini, so it's also kind of interesting as far as public perception because of the duality of Gemini. So it's like there's a lot of discussion about his public persona versus his private persona and what is happening behind the scenes, or
that's true.
How many people does he want to be with?
Yeah, he's like the.
It's like Gemini will try anything twice, right?
That's true. Yeah, I mean they love putting their thumbs in a lot of different pies, so.
And that's an experimental energy too, and it's also exploratory. It's on the other side of that Sag. So polarity.
That's very true. Yeah, I mean, also what's cool is he's like her and their sons are mutable too. So like they seem so easygoing with each other too.
There has to be a lot of compromise, I think, with all that Libra going on between their two charts with his moon and her sun. That's probably, to me, how they've stayed together is renegotiating and making a bunch of compromises that they both can live with.
That is so true. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and as you pointed out earlier, Steph, the suns, the way that our suns are positioned, are creating attention because they're in square.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like they're creating attention, and that can be hot. That can be like very frustrating at times, but it can also opposites attract. Mm-hmm. So that can keep it interesting, like not just pure harmony. Because I think the Libra just wants it to be purely harmonious, and will do pretty much anything to keep it that status. But then having that tension will move things forward. Like you mentioned, Marty, you have to, have a little tension there to make some change happen.
Yeah, totally. And like that's where you find respect for each other is by being able to stand your ground of like who you are and what you represent and finding the compromise and being able to explain yourself to have your needs met. And if there's all this Libra compromise, then like where is the me? Because we're always we. And so establishing that grounding of this is me is super important because that's how you adore someone else is by who they are and not how they make you feel, I guess.
For sure.
Yeah, and to bring in the rising piece, it's like there's a part, if you meet someone who has a rising sign, that's a part of you that's really primary, like your sun or your moon, then it's pretty easy to get to know that person. I've noticed, like you can get to know each other quickly because both of you have that signature, so it can happen pretty fast.
Something I'd be curious about, and I might have to analyze, because the North Node is kind of a special thing for me, and so his North Node, which is kind of people's life path, is Pisces, which means his past life came from Virgo. So I would be curious if her Virgo sun was close to his South Node, because that to me would be a huge tip-off that they probably were together or knew each other from a past life.
It's 6 degrees away.
Yeah. I mean, I think, to me, that's not that huge of an orb of a distance for that, because I've gotten into looking at couples' charts, and a lot of times somebody has something near someone else's South Node, And they say, yeah, we did feel like we knew each other immediately. So they could have had that real sense of familiarity right away.
Yeah, I mean, that's really interesting. That probably makes him have this understanding of Beyonce that nobody else does. Because she probably, and, for both of them, when there's so many people in your life, having that solid person that you don't, that you've known for a long time, it's like it's familiar because then you can keep yourself real, too. And, yeah. He probably loves the Virgo part of her.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, I understand that. I've mastered that. I know what's up with, that kind of perfection that you need to have. And there's an OCD in Virgo, too, So, like, finding each other's OCD and being like, okay, I know that you have to, like, rearrange your sock drawer before you feel good about things. Like, go do it. I understand that.
Yeah, and people need that support sometimes instead of being made to feel like there's something wrong with them. Like, there's a lot of comfort in someone saying, yes, your neurosis is okay. It's okay. Do what you need to do. I support you.
I'll make sure to not have any dishes in the sink. I understand. I won't do it.
When you think about the rising sign as what people encounter first, so it's that part of your personality that other people actually have more of an awareness of it than you do, and that's how you're meeting the world. And so it's like, for them, he met her rising, which is his moon, and she met his rising, which is her sun. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, as far as creating a connection, I think that has a lot of possibility when you're looking at something like that to get some sparks flying.
Yeah, I think that would be, that's interesting. We should, I've started this podcast from the basics, and so maybe just elaborating on the sun, moon, and rising, because I said, that's the three most important parts of you. So if she's seeing his rising is Virgo. So she's seeing, like, no stains on him anywhere. Like, he's very, like, crisp.
Well put together.
Yes, and so she's like, ooh, that's me, my ego, like, deep in me.
Yeah, this guy will get me.
Yes, I get him. I like it. And then he sees her as a Libra rising, and so she's beautiful. Jewels, feathers, glamour, and he's like, that is totally like how I feel nurtured. You're like the woman, because like my moon is in Libra, and I'm like, really, like that's what I want to be. My yin is Libra, and you are that. You know what I mean?
She's doing it really well.
Yeah. So I think that's really awesome to have that commonality together.
Yes.
So, but I think we're going to have to end it now because we're having so much fun, and I feel like when you end it fun, it keeps it fresh. Just kidding. But I think that we should elaborate more on other relationships. I think that's been really fun. This is our first time doing this, so if
people could request it, right?
Yes, if there's any request, you can put it in the comments of certain types together, and we can give our advice on, like, if it works, if it doesn't work, what we see, and
challenges and ways they could maybe communicate better.
Totally.
I love that stuff.
Yeah. And so thanks for tuning in, and the podcast is called What's Up Planets, and this has been fun with Steph and Steph. It's fun to actually have you guys together.
Thanks for having us.
Yes, and it's a rainy day here in Portland, so that keeps it real.
Yeah. You have rain, it's just frozen.
Yes.
Yeah.
AKA
Thank you.
Snow. Okay,
Thank you.
yes. Thank you. Okay. Oh, shit.
Oh, did the recording stop?
I don't know. I hope not. I think I have to figure that out.
Oh, my battery is really low.
You guys are gonna have to edit the heck out of me. I'm sorry.
No, you were great.
Yeah, I loved it. I loved every minute of it.